Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at how to fix our educational system. And this is extremely important because we as a species, individually and collectively, are lacking the knowledge of how to live. And that's the reason why we have so many problems on this planet. It actually creates a need for an educational system, and then that educational system can actually be used to make sure we never find the knowledge of how to live. Interesting how things have worked out ever since the very first big mistake we made as a species, known as the fall of mankind. The fall of mankind created needs that we didn't have before. One of them was our need for government. The first mistake destroyed the nutrient that makes us feel one with everything, so now we're out of control. Now we need help being controlled with the government. And the problem with the government is now the government can be used to control us. So in order to fix our educational system, we need to fix the government. In order to fix the government, we need to fix the people, because the government, just like the educational system, is made up of nothing but us, and that's the problem. Collectively, we're not in very good shape. So the people have to be better. So if we want to fix the government and the educational system, we have to fix the people. And the only way to really fix the people is to get them to change their diet. And that's almost impossible. So the best way to get people to change their diet is to get them to test an idea whose time has come, which is the first of my three-step process. If you haven't seen any of my videos, it's in the description box down below, a 2-hour seminar that explains how to make the best transition into our ideal diet. And this is so important, and it's not like I figured this out all on my own. If we even look back at Confucius, he said in order to have a good government, you need good men. Because if you have good men, you got good families. Good families, good communities, good government. In other words, the individual plays a role. We all have to be the best that we can be. So when we look at our educational system, like many of our problems, it's not just a downstream solution. There's also an upstream solution to most of our problems. So actually that's the first thing we have to do. When we look at a problem, the first step is to determine how much control do we have over those problems. And problems can either be 100% within our control, where we have complete control based on the things we do, or we can have limited control because other people are doing things also. And then there are times when we have no control whatsoever. So there are 3 types of problems. And the best way to group those is into 2 groups. One where we have 100% control. That's where we have complete control based on the things we do, our lifestyle choices. And interesting, about 99% of our problems right there, but life is an illusion, so we don't know that. And then when we look at the other problems, we have those problems that are not 100% within our control. And that's where we have limited control, things like accidents or acts of nature, or acts of war, crime and violence rather. And then we have problems where we have no control whatsoever. And that's where the accidents and acts of nature come into play. So when it comes to education, it's one of those problems where we have limited control, isn't it? And that's because the government has a say in it. Even if we homeschool our children, the government has a say in it. So how do we fix our educational system? Well, we got to go downstream, and one of the best ways to understand what we need to do downstream is to read the books by Iserbyt and John Taylor Gatto, and I'll put down below in the description box the titles of those books, so you parents especially can read those books. You need to read them, because if you got your children in the public educational system, it's crippling our children, and we got to get them out of it. We got to change the system. So we got to do downstream work, and we got to become aware of what the system is doing, because it's not getting results. But we also have to realize that that's just a band-aid to an extent, because we got to figure out why we have this system. Why do we have a government that's controlling us? Why do we have a subsequent need for money? Why do we have all these subsequent needs? Well, that comes from the fall of mankind. So I always say there's a simple solution to most of our problems. When we make things simple and go upstream and get reconnected, correct the fall of mankind. Do I say this in every one of my videos? I hope so, because it's the only thing I'm saying that's of any importance. But it ties into everything, so I can do 1,000 videos talking about anything I want to. And is it always going to lead back to cooking our food? Everything except for accidents and acts of nature, and even though some of the accidents will tie into it. But there are problems that are 100% outside of our control, and that's when all we can do is a downstream solution. But we're using that approach for problems that are within our control, and we don't want to exclusively use a downstream solution, as does allopathic medicine. If you still put trust in doctors, you are a fool, because you have been fooled, and you're still a fool if you still put trust in them. They're not trustworthy except for things outside our control, like accidents and acts of nature. And of course, some of our problems get to a point where we need intervention. There's a time and a place to use allopathic medicine. But in most cases, they're doing more harm than good. In fact, they are the #1 cause of death here in America. They surpass heart disease and cancer when you look at what our system does. And why is it such a failure? It's by design. The people who control the government and the educational systems control what they teach our doctors, and they've given a monopoly to the worst system out there that ensures we're going to be sick. And what do you see if you ever turn on the TV? When a commercial comes on, ask your doctor, ask your doctor. God, stop asking your doctor, because they don't know anything about how to get healthy. If you get in a car accident, go running down to them. But for arthritis and diabetes and fibromyalgia and lupus and migraine headaches, stop going to those fools that have been tricked just like they're tricking us. So, how do you fix the medical system? How do you fix the educational system? How do you fix the government? You play a role, my friend. You, the individual, can do more for your health and well-being than any doctor, drug, medical device, whatever. To paraphrase C. Everett Koop, a former Surgeon General. These are problems that are 100% within our control. One of the biggest illusions on this planet is that we've been tricked into believing that most of our problems are outside of control, and we need to go to these experts, allopathic doctors, who believe in that poisons are going to help you be healthy. How can we fall for such tripe? It's because we've been fed it all of our lives. If you've been lied to from day one, you've got too many references that make you think that's what's true. That's why we have to question everything, especially what I say. I want you to question it. And remember, there's only one way to truly question what I'm saying, and that is to do it. If you want scientific proof for what I'm saying, do the first of my 3-step process, and within days, you'll see all the proof you need. It's scientific proof. It's concrete, verifiable proof. It's indisputable proof that there are things inside of us that simply don't belong there. And when you do what it takes to get rid of that garbage, using my first step, you're also going to bump up those biophotons, that faster than light communication. That's what's needed in order for us to solve our educational problem and our political problem and our government and everything else, the money. Everything else ties into what we eat. Why do I keep coming back to it? Because that's how important it is. The fall of mankind is eating the wrong food. Oh, it's an apple, it's an apple. Who's controlling these books? Why do we put so much faith in 100% that they say? Well, I understand people are at different stages. And if their life was extremely chaotic, they need something that's black and white, and they can't handle any gray. And many times people at my stage might threaten those people, and I understand that. If what M. Scott Peck says is true, I'm basing this on M. Scott Peck's 4 stages of spirituality that I read in his book, Further Along the Road Less Traveled. Interesting concept of putting spirituality in stages. But anyway, the point here is that of all the things that are important to us, it's knowledge of how to live that we're not being taught in school. Our educational system should tell us that, but our parents should tell us that, and our parents are failing us miserably. Confucius says, good men good families. No, it's good parents. It's the parents that teach the children what to do. And what do our parents do? They teach us the same stupid mistakes that their parents taught them, and we've been doing it for 3,000 generations. It's time to stop this and stop poisoning the next generation. If we want to have a good educational system for our children in the future, it begins by teaching them what they should already know, so if the system isn't fixed by then, they'll know not to eat the crap that everyone else is eating, because that's why we're in the hell we're in. You are what you eat, and you can change that overnight by making a better choice. However, it's going to take maybe a year to replace every cell in your body, or at least 99% according to Deepak Chopra, and I don't know how accurate that is. Who knows, right? Because they used to say 7 years, but now I read Deepak say that like 20 years ago. It takes 1 year to replace 99% of our cells in our body. So that's one way to step into a whole different body that you didn't have before. But you also have to get rid of the garbage. Because even though you rebuild your cells, you don't want to carry around garbage that you might have accumulated when you're a little child. There have been stories of people who poop out little doll boots in Crayola colors when they go on these long cleanses. Once again, my friends, most people have never gone the distance on a long cleanse before. And when I did, I crawled out of a rut I didn't know I was in. And I can guarantee for the vast majority of y'all, when you do this, you're in for a treat.